Gentlemen, welcome to the April 21st, 2020 Board of Selectmen's meeting. Kind of unorthodox tonight. We're in a hall we're not usually in, but they've done a nice job setting it up. We got everybody protected, and hopefully we'll get these hearings done. All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask for a roll call, please.
Physically present are Selectmen Tropiano, Titlebaum, and Bruce, and remotely in are Slavin, Manise, Town Administrator Derek Sullivan, and I believe that's it. Also, Rich Bowen is present physically. And Doreen.
All right. Now, Pledge of Allegiance. Huh?
How about Mr. Ruiz?
Mr. Ruiz, can you lead us on the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America, to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Very nice. All right, first is announcements, and we'll start with our usual first individual, Alan.
Just to let you know, Patrick, your voice is coming through with a lot of echoes. You may want to move the microphone closer. It's very hard to hear you. Initial announcements, basically every meeting that I have as far as organizations, personal, public, whatever, are all canceled.
Okay. Who else? Let's see. Let's go to Jim. How about you, Jim? We lost Jim.
I'm here, guys.
Okay.
No, nothing really. We had, I need to send you a new appraisal that we had done on the CMW property in Rochester. But beyond that, things have been quiet, and I've been trying to review the material that has been sent, and thank you, Alan. I appreciate that. And a lot of information, you know, and that's about all. Thanks.
All right. Peter, anything? Mary?
No.
No? Okay. Board comments. All right, Alan, you have anything?
Everybody should have received in the last couple hours a download list of what happened with the 3 meetings I had today, Zoom conferences. The only big thing, obviously, is, you know, the governor announced, I think around 1 o'clock this afternoon, that schools for the current school year, it would be shut down, including private schools and public. Summer schools right now is up in the air as far as whether or not that will be allowed as well. And I'll give you some more information later on.
Hold on, Alan. Steve, somebody just texted me and says no sound. It looks like you're working on it. Are you working on the sound? Go to the public channel. Okay, you got to go to either 9 or 3 on the public channel for this broadcast. 9 or 30? 9 or 30. Okay? So if you're watching this and you're having trouble with the sound, go to either 9 or 30. Okay? Okay. All right. Jim, do you have any comments? Jim, any comments?
Yeah, oh yeah, I can hear you. I hear you fine, Peter. Patrick, I'm having trouble with. Mary, I cannot hardly hear it all.
Well, I don't even need a microphone, so let me shove this over towards Patrick's. I think this mic is working pretty good.
Well, it is. Well, again, you project very well, Peter.
That's one way to put it.
Project what?
How's that? Patrick, you want to get 1, 2 there?
1, 2. 1, 2.
That's better. That's good. Thank you. No, I don't have anything to say. We'll just let the meeting roll along, and I'll listen to you guys. And when we get to the points where I want to say something, I'll step in. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank people of the town for continuing to try to do the right things here. Protect yourself when you go out, and so doing protect others. People are actually getting
pretty good in the stores at the social distancing thing. You know, some people slip up. It's easy to do, but try your best. We're hoping right now that this is sort of the crest of, unfortunately, the loss of life. And that, you know, a week or so will be well on the downslope. But still be vigilant. Don't let up now. You know, you've made it this far. You've survived this far. You've been healthy this far. Just keep it up. Thank you.
Okay, Mary?
Nope.
Yeah, I want to piggyback on what Peter said. Yes, absolutely true. You notice the supermarkets and everything now have a direction in the supermarket, which I thought is great. I mean, everybody's come a long way with helping with the social distance. And just so you know, when they finally do start to open up stuff, this social distancing and masks and stuff isn't going away. Don't think it is. Don't think you're just going to throw everything off and go out there and act normal. And it's going to be that way. You got to, matter of fact, if anything, you got to be more vigilant about how you handle yourself. Your masks on, washing your hands a lot, and doing whatever, just to keep yourself protected and keep everybody else protected, so it doesn't come back. All right. So just keep that all in mind. And I want to remind everybody that one of the things people aren't doing is they're not cleaning their phones and their keys. And somehow you forget those. You go in the supermarket, you talk on the phone, you do whatever, you go there, you wash your hands, but you never clean the phone. So phones and keys. I keep saying that, and I keep reminding people. All right, next up, we have appointments, which we don't have any. We're going to skip by that. We have a 7:15 hearing. We're going to wait a few minutes for that. Let's see. Let's jump down to second-hand dealer licenses, please.
Okay, can you hear me, Jim? Ellen?
Yeah, it's just that they're not trying, the sounds echo, and no matter what you're going to do, you're going to get that echo sound, so you're never going to be clear of that way.
Okay, I'll do my best here. Okay, I move that we approve the second-hand license for the second-hand dealer license for the Church of the Good Shepherd.
Okay, motion made by Mary, seconded by Peter. Roll call, please. Alan?
Yes.
Jim?
Yeah, I didn't hear what you said, but yeah.
I like your face, Jim.
I love your face. That's good face. Peter?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Patrick, yes. 500. Okay.
All right, I'll try and do better with the next one. Okay, I move that we approve the second-hand dealer license for the Friends of the Wareham Free Library.
Second.
Motion made by Mary, seconded by Peter. Roll call. Alan?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear a thing.
So
That was for the second-hand dealer license for, what was it, Mary?
The Friends of the Wareham Free Library.
There you go, right there. Put it right up to her.
Friends of the Library.
The
Second-hand dealer license.
Okay, second-hand dealer license for the Friends of Wareham.
Library.
Motion made by Mary, seconded by Peter. Alan?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Mary? Yes.
Okay, that makes it unanimous 500. Okay, great. All right, let's go down and we got the COVID-19 discussion for updates. Is Derek, can you want to give us some updates on?
No, guys, I'm having a real problem here. My laptop's not working too well, so I'm trying to go to the phone. But why don't we just we'll leave it as is.
Can you hear me now, Derek?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm just it's mine. I don't know what's going on with my
No,
laptop.
you sound good.
Yeah, I just switched over to the phone, but I'm sort of moving around here. So we're doing what we're doing, guys. So thanks.
Okay.
All right, articles for spring and annual town meeting, we're going to bypass those for now. All right, so we have a hearing at, 7:15? What time is it now? 7:09.
You want to pay?
Yeah, let's pay Mr. Bowen.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Peter, second, another
They
turn.
can't, I'm sure they can't hear me.
Did you hear it?
No.
Do you want to pay Rich? Alan, do
Yes.
you want to pay Rich?
I can't hear you, Peter.
You can't hear you either?
Wow.
No, I have Peter. Peter, why don't you read the motions? Yeah, because Peter's cutting in, cutting out also.
Okay, move to pay the invoice for the law offices of Richard Bowen.
Motion made by Peter,
Second.
seconded by Mary. Roll call, Alan,
Yes. Yes. Jim, yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Patrick, 500. Okay, why don't we do the minutes? That mic's right in front of you.
I
We're
know.
doing the minutes this time.
I don't know.
What are they from? I'll make the motion.
March 10th.
March 10th.
Okay,
Everyone was present.
all right. Can you make it? Make it right in the mic.
I move that we approve the meeting minutes for March 10th, 2020. Everyone was present.
Everybody hear that?
1 second.
Okay, motion made by Mary, seconded by Alan. Roll call. Alan,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Patrick, yes, okay. This is not, okay. All right, so we're gonna have to make this audio work a little better when we get to the testimony and stuff. All right, where is, the gentleman here from Stone Path? Come on down.
There, but it's a public hearing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a public hearing for, what time is it?
7:15, or 7:11.
All right, so we got a couple of minutes to kill.
Yeah.
So that's just the way it is, we're out of stuff to do. Does anybody have anything they want to bring up at this point?
You can sing for us.
Didn't you want to talk about, did you want to talk about the thing with, the trash, about the, dropping the lawsuit? Did you want to ask those questions?
Patrick, you were talking about school too.
Or are you okay with it?
Is that on the agenda?
Oh, it's on, he's on the agenda every week because we can do it under, articles. There's an article that's on the warrant.
Yeah, well, I would actually defer that to Jim.
Defer what?
Just if you could sort of amplify on what the district reasons were.
You wanna, are we gonna do liaison reports later or no?
We are.
Yeah, so basically it was, it is what it was in the paper. Ray Pickles passed away. The state dropped the charges. They dropped the charges against Mr. Pinkham out of Carver. Attorneys stated that without the key witness and lacking evidence against the second individual, Mr. Tinkham, they dropped the case and they advised us not to pursue civil litigation because even if we won, there'd probably not be very much would be able to receive as there wasn't anything particularly in Mr. Pickles' name alone. So we discussed it and we went on the advice of our attorneys. And we didn't want to be throwing good money after bad. We would have had to have a forensic audit, an audit to really have anything to base our claims upon. And that was supposed to have been done 2 years ago. It never been done. That would have been tens of thousands of dollars. In addition, would be more money for our attorneys. And that would have been tens of thousands of dollars. And we probably would have ended up with nothing. So we felt it was in the best interest of everybody to drop the lawsuit at the advice of our counsel, which is KMP, I think it is.
Yeah, oh, it is.
So that's the story in a nutshell.
I've got some thoughts, but I would prefer to express them in a subsequent executive session.
Well, you're welcome to your opinion, but as a district, we operate separately and solely, just as the any you know, a district group and or you know, like the Wareham Affordable Housing Trust or Housing Authority or the Redevelopment Authority. I mean, we base our decisions based upon what is put in front of us and what we look at.
I understand.
Thank you.
I just think with the amount of,
I'm one vote out of 9 now. You have to remember that.
I know.
This was a unanimous vote. No, it might have been one dissenting vote. I'd have to go review the minutes.
But I'm not trying to sharpshoot anybody here.
Well, doesn't bother me.
It's just given the amount of money that was alleged to have been taken. There must have been some kind of forensics examination to come up with even anything to get the probable cause to indict these people. So I'm just kind of curious as to,
You know, the record keeping was horrendous.
There wasn't any.
Well, receipts were, you know, written on paper, put in boxes. There hadn't been an audit done since 2012, and the one we're having done now is the first one since that date. And you know, bank accounts, you know, again, we don't feel there was, or our attorneys, Copeland and Page, didn't feel it would be in our best interest to pursue it, because even if they found in our favor, there probably would not be assets to be
Attached.
attached or given to us, you know, and found in our favor to cover the cost of the litigation.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's a judgment call.
I get it. Thank you for the amplification.
If you want to give me just a couple minutes, Jim's correct in his comments, just so we understand everything. Back in 2014, I had questions that I actually expressed at a board meeting about the way the process of the facility was being run, et cetera, everything else. And at the time, I was assured that, and yeah, I have to laugh now because I didn't do anything, that Ray Pickles had everything under control. And we let it go. And basically the towns, you know, not just us, but the other towns involved, we were just too lax and we really didn't do the job. And at the end of the day, it's our responsibility and our fault that this happened. You know, it's hard for, you know, for me to say that because usually I'm very persistent when I think something doesn't seem right, but you know, I didn't follow through because I was assured it was okay and I made the wrong decision.
This isn't about looking for additional people to blame beyond the people who apparently took.
No, it's not that. It's just, it gives us a lesson that when something doesn't seem right, doesn't smell right, doesn't taste right, don't back away. Keep after it until you get an answer you're happy with.
Go for it, Jim.
All right, everybody okay with that?
Yep, the word 72.
All right, can you, Stone Path, could you come down, please, into one of those microphones there for me? All right, so. All right. So, this is an application of Stone Path Malts, LLC, DBA Stone Path Malts, for an alteration of premises of an annual common vicular all alcoholic beverage license under provisions of Chapter 138 of the Massachusetts General Law for the year 2020. Now, I understand, I read the thing, I understand you want to put a fenced area outside for like a beer garden.
That's correct.
Okay. So why don't you just go ahead?
First of all, I want to say good evening to everyone. These are pretty tough times that we're going through right now. And I just have to say, sitting here talking about an outdoor beer garden right now seems a little bit, I'm not saying inappropriate, but it's funny, we were going to try and get this done last year at about this time. And
Okay, let me just open the hearing, okay? Could I have a motion to open the hearing, please? Motion made by Peter, seconded by Mary. Roll call, Alan.
Opening hearing.
Open the hearing.
Open the hearing, yes.
Okay, Alan?
Yes, but just to let you know, it's almost impossible for us to hear And I would say on the TV that I'm hearing in the other room, really can't hear you guys at all. You're gonna have to slow your speech down because the echo in the room itself is making it virtually impossible to hear what you're saying. If it continues this way, there's no way that I can vote.
Okay.
Now, Peter, I'm just trying to figure if you have a better microphone, or can you have other people speak more loudly or speak closer to their microphones? I don't know. I mean, you're projecting exceptionally well.
That's correct.
Different type of microphones. A trained professional.
So anyway,
Yeah, Peter, your vote, please. Yes?
Yes.
Mary?
Can you hear me?
Very good. Thank you, Mary.
Oh, take that
That's
thing
all.
off then.
Hold on. Let's put this in.
There you go.
Is that better? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Very good.
That's better now. Okay. All right, so that's unanimous. Okay, the hearing's open. All right, so can you tell us, and pull the mic as close as you can and tell us slowly exactly what you want to do, please.
So, we have an outdoor area, just outside the beer garden that, would be perfect for it.
Alan, you can't hear?
It just doesn't come through, you know, and I can't understand what he's trying to say, but it's so low. I know what it is. You're going to have to pull your mask down and talk over that, because what it is, you're not projecting because the mask is stopping you.
Alan, can you hear me now?
He sounds like me usually. Yeah, okay, so now you can be good.
All right.
Right?
I was just saying to start, this is just unbelievable what we're all going through right now. And for me to be sitting here to talk about an outdoor beer garden seems a little bit, not inappropriate, but certainly with everything else going on, kind of insignificant. But be that as it may, we were trying to get approved for the outdoor beer garden last year so we could market it for the summer. And here we are a year later. And it looks like we're depending on when we're going to open, and we may not be able to do that again. But I thought it was important that we do get the permit going and get approved. So what we're trying to do is the existing tap room is roughly 2,000 square feet. The tap room basically opens to an outdoor area that would be really conducive to an outdoor beer garden. I had met with Dave Requeno and Dave Morris last year and kind of gave them our plan. And there were some concerns they had that we addressed. I had to go ahead and replace the retaining wall anyways. So I went and did that. So basically what we need at this point is we need to construct a fence around the area, make sure that there is no beer that can be passed through the fence, and access to the beer garden is only through the front door. There is no access to the beer garden from outside.
Okay.
So.
All right. Any questions of anybody?
Alan here. I have the basic application that came through to us. I'm just trying to understand exactly what we're doing. We're taking an existing pouring license and adding an outdoor facility to the pouring license.
Yeah, you want to see the picture, Alan? I think we can.
No, I've got it here. We were submitted with drawings and everything, but I just want to make sure that what we're doing is they're working on a license that they asked before about changing for town meeting to get a special license. So what are we exactly doing? Are we just modifying the existing pouring license to allow for an outdoor facility to pour as well?
Yeah, we just
I assume there's no food involved or anything else?
Oh.
The answer to that is no.
Couldn't understand you, Patrick.
The answer to that is no food.
Okay, so we're not, okay, so we're staying away from the issue that we may have to come up with later.
That's correct.
This is just
Thank you.
modification.
Yeah, because the application doesn't really tell us exactly what the change is, except for showing the outdoor location, et cetera. So it's basically taking a existing pouring license and adding more space to what the pouring license covers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Somebody else with a question?
Yeah, I have a question. Are the number of seats and occupancy being changed whatsoever?
No,
No.
we're only approved for 186, and we're leaving that at 186.
How many?
186.
186?
Yes.
And that's already been approved, correct?
Yes.
Yes, that's existing today.
No, because I was looking at parking and whatnot, so I guess if that's already approved, you would not be adding capacity. And I thought I saw it as 60 and 86 standing, but that's neither here nor there. Thank you.
All right. All right, so can I have a motion, please?
I move that we approve the license change.
No, wait a second. Let's close the hearing.
Okay.
So we have to ask, is there anybody here from the
Oh,
public,
is there anybody from the public who wants to join in?
either for or against?
No. There was nobody here, so that's why I kind of. All right, next, could we, are you, that's nice, Derek. Okay, so motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
By Peter, seconded by Mary. We're closing the public hearing. Roll call, Alan.
Yes.
Jim.
Yes.
Peter.
Yes.
Mary.
Yes.
Patrick, yes. Okay, next, I need a motion, please.
I move that we approve the license change for Stone Path.
You gotta get up there, you guys.
I move that we approve the license changes for Stone Path Malt.
Motion made by Mary, seconded by Peter. Is there any more discussion? All in favor?
With the additional space on the outside, we are not, there is no change from the existing license for capacity, because if we were to increase, by 10% or so, you have to go back to a site plan review.
There is no change in capacity.
Okay, I want to make sure that's clear, because it can come back and bite all of us.
You said that, stated that pretty clearly.
Yeah, that's part of the record.
Thank you.
Okay? All right, Alan,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Patrick, yes. All right, thank you very much. All right, we have 2 minutes before
Good luck,
the.
Mark.
Yeah, can you give that to the clerk?
Oh,
Yeah, please. Give that to the clerk if you would. All right, dog hearing we have coming up. Let's make sure that there's nobody out there for the hearing that isn't outside that is for this hearing. Can you just make sure, Peter? All right, so why don't we get in position, Gary, you can come down to one of the microphones. Ma'am, are you here for the dog hearing? Could you come down to this microphone on the left, please? Yes, you may. Nobody out there? Okay.
now you guys gotta sign that.
Thank you.
What?
The letter that was sent as a notice, and we've got the letter from Officer Kimball.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. All right. As soon as he passes this out, I'm going to ask Peter to handle the hearing as we always do. He likes that and he's good at this, so we're gonna turn it over and he will swear everybody in and we'll get going. Just give him another couple of seconds here.
Yep.
Are you all set there, Gary? Aye. All right, take a seat and, all right, Peter, go ahead.
Okay, first, we have a motion to open the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by me, seconded by Mary. Roll call, Alan?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
And Mary?
Yes.
It's unanimous. The hearing is open. Go ahead.
Okay,
Want to swear everybody in?
yeah, we swear everybody, but everybody who intends to give testimony in this matter, please rise. Repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the whole truth. So help me God. Thank you. Okay, first up, we will hear from the Director of Natural Resources. If you would,
You're gonna have to get that real close to you, Gary.
Absolutely. Good evening. I'm going to be reading from Officer Kimball's report of the incident that took place on March 31st. On March 31st, 2020,
Can everybody hear me at home? Alan?
No. Speak up.
You're gonna, I don't know, put the thing in your mouth, I guess. I don't know.
can I take it off?
Yeah, you might as well. Because you can't project with it on.
On March 31st, 2020, at approximately 10:50 a.m., Officer Joshua Kimball of the Natural Resources Department was called to Swiss Beach for a reported dog attack in progress. While responding to the location, Officer Burley, a member of the Wareham Police Department, had arrived on scene and stated that one of the dogs was deceased. Upon arrival, Officer McGuire, a member of the Department of Natural Resources also, was on scene and helped Officer Burley, who was able to secure the two loose pit bulls that ultimately killed the other dog. The owner of the now deceased dogs, identified as some spelling, I don't need to butcher their names, Constantinos, thank you. I'm not going to go into their date of births, you can see for yourself. And Joanna Barber was later identified as the owner of the two pit bulls. The owner of the Chihuahua was taking a walk with her small black and tan Chihuahua on Swiss Beach when two large unleashed pit bulls came running after her. The victim stated that to Officer McGuire that she picked up her dog up as the two pit bulls came after her, and the two dogs were jumping at her. At that point, she dropped her dog, and the dogs did not attack her. Instead, they killed her Chihuahua. There was no owners in sight of these two pit bulls. I as Mr. Officer Kimball, put the two pit bulls, one black and white female and the other gray and white male, in the back of the animal control van for transport to the Lakeville Animal Shelter. Barber had contacted Officer McGuire in the area of Swiss Beach and claimed the two dogs as hers. Officer Kimball made phone contact with Barber, and she claimed two dogs sometime around 10 a.m. in the morning. The two dogs had been out since. Barber further stated that normally the dogs go out to a pen in the backyard. I asked Barber if the dogs were up to date in rabies shots, and she stated they were. I asked if the
Alan,
Mr. Lester.
the TV is feedback. Okay, that's better.
I went to the TV to see if I could get Gary. I can't, he's not clear enough coming through the Zoom. He's driving too fast on his feedback.
Okay, but the feedback on the TV.
You guys want me to read the letter?
Probably able to vote on something we can't hear. I can't vote on.
Okay, I'll read the letter. Here's what it's looking like. Oh, wait. You read the letter. Yeah. And then the other page. He adopts it. Yeah.
Okay, here goes, folks. I'll do the whole thing because apparently you were unable to hear much, Alan. He's not there.
I'm here.
Yeah, we don't see you.
I'm out grazing.
Okay, if you can't hear me, raise your hand so I can see that. On March 31st, 2020, at approximately 10:50 a.m., I, Officer Joshua Kimball, of the Wareham Department of Natural Resources, was called to Swiss Beach for a reported dog attack in progress. While responding to the location, Officer Braley had arrived on scene and stated that one of the dogs was deceased. On arrival, Officer McGuire was on scene and with the help of Officer Braley was able to secure 2 loose pit bulls that ultimately killed another dog. The owner of the now deceased dog was identified as Konstantinos Kouleris and Ralitza Kouleris. Joanna Barber was later identified as the owner of the 2 pit bulls. Ralitza Kouleris was walking with her small black and tan chihuahua on Swiss Beach when 2 large unleashed pit bulls came running after her. Our Kouleris stated to Officer McGuire that she picked her dog up as the 2 pit bulls came after her, and the 2 dogs were jumping up at her. She dropped her dog, and the dogs did not attack her. Instead, they killed her chihuahua. She attached photos, and we've got a photo here. There were no owners in sight of these 2 pit bulls. I put the 2 pit bulls, one black and white female, and the other gray and white male, in the back of the animal control van for transport to the Lakeville Animal Shelter. Barber had contacted Officer McGuire in the area of Swiss Beach and claimed the 2 dogs as hers. I made phone contact with Barber, and she claimed the 2 dogs as hers. I asked how the dogs got out, and she stated that one of her kids' friends left the door open sometime around 10 a.m. this morning, and the dogs have been out since. Barber further stated that normally the dogs go out to a pen in the backyard. I asked Barber if the dogs were up to date on rabies shots, and she stated that they were. I asked her to provide proof of that, which she did. However, the rabies vaccines expired in 2019, and both dogs have not been licensed since 2016. I advised Barber that she would be receiving a citation in the mail for 2 unleashed dogs, 2 unlicensed dogs, and 2 loose dogs. I provided Barber with instructions on how to retrieve her dogs from the animal shelter, place the dogs in verbal quarantine over the phone, and also advised her of safety restrictions of muzzle and leash when outside of the property to follow for her animals until the dog hit. At approximately 2:30 p.m., I made contact with Konstantinos Kouleris to provide him with the owner of the pit bull's information. He stated to me that his dog was in fact not deceased, and he had brought it to the veterinarian, and they wanted over $10,000, and he elected to have the dog humanely euthanized. He stated that his wife was in absolute shock and sad over the loss of the dog. I provided the owner information to Konstantinos Kouleris and also told him that a copy of this report would be available to him at the police station in a few days. I also advised him that we would be holding a dangerous dog hearing against Barber. Respectfully submitted, Officer Joshua Kimball, Wareham Department of Natural Resources. Do you agree that I've read this letter into the record as you would have read yourself?
Okay, thank you. We do have one other document. This is the actual complaint made by Officer Kimball, and I will read that into the record now. The letterhead is Town of Wareham Department of Natural Resources, complaint of dangerous or nuisance dogs. Chapter 140, Section 157 of the Massachusetts General Laws. April 1st, 2020. I hereby make complaint hereon that the dogs owned and kept by Joanna Barber, 173 Swiss Beach Road, Wareham, Mass, are dangerous by reason of: 1. On March 31st, 2020, the two dogs were loose on Swiss Beach and attacked a small Chihuahua-type dog unprovoked. The attack inflicted severe and traumatic injury to the dog, resulting in the humane euthanasia of the animal. See call number 20-11283. 2. A complaint received on 4/1/20 from a party reporting that the dogs had attacked her two dogs on February 28th. The incident went unreported until 4/1/20. This complaint is made under the pains and penalty of perjury. It's electronically signed by Officer Joshua Kimball, Wareham Department of Natural Resources. So that's the complaint. That's the recitation of the report from the animal control officer. First off, I would ask the Director of Natural Resources, does he have any further information to add to what has been introduced into the record already? Okay. You don't have any additional information regarding the second allegation that was made in the complaint letter?
Correct. I do not.
Any questions from the board for the Director of Natural Resources before we shift over to the auditor?
No.
Alan? Alan, any questions? No? Okay.
I'd like to ask if there's been any other incidents with these dogs before these two that were reported?
Not with these two dogs. There was a previous incident at this premise, I believe in 2014, which I believe that was the parents of these dogs.
Were you able to hear that, Jim?
No, could you paraphrase that for me, please?
Yes, the Director of Natural Resources testified that there was a prior incident not involving these dogs, but rather the parents of these dogs back in 2014.
Thank you.
Alan, anything?
No.
Okay. Barbara, you have the opportunity both to state your version of the facts as you know them, but also to cross-examine the Director of Natural Resources, because you have the right to do that. So what would you like to say to us?
I wasn't there, so I really don't know exactly what happened, but I do know that my dogs got loose that day. But exactly to the facts, I wasn't there. I don't know exactly what happened.
Okay, do you have any questions for the Director of Natural Resources?
No, not this time, no.
Does anybody have any questions for this witness? Alan?
No.
Jim?
No.
I want to ask the witness.
You can get up and really yell.
I have it right here. So you're not denying the facts of what was read into the record, is that correct?
No, I'm not denying the facts.
So you're accepting what, you're saying that what was written is fact as far as you understand?
As far, the first incident, yes.
Okay.
Not the second incident, no. But yeah, the first incident, yes.
Okay. That's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Okay, you just said if the second incident, no. Are you denying that the second incident took place, or are you saying that you don't understand what that is?
Yeah, I'm denying that one, yeah.
Okay. What didn't happen? If you could tell us that. It's kind of a strange way to ask the question, but...
On the second incident?
Yes.
Yeah, I was there for that one. That's, my dog, my dogs got out, but they didn't attack their dogs. There was 2 of them, and they were loose, like they were running around. There was 2, actually, like there was 2 pit bulls. There was 2 pit bulls and 2 pit bulls. My sons were home at the time. We were all home. So what we did was we grabbed the dogs, put them back in, but there was no attack. They didn't attack them at all. Because if they had attacked them, like us, it would have, you know, it wouldn't have been that. So no, there was no attack.
I do have one question. Have you been in touch with the owners of the Chihuahua?
No.
Have you offered to pay the bill that they incurred for euthanasia?
I haven't been in touch with them, but I will pay the bill if that's what they need me to do. I haven't been in touch with them.
What have you done in order to try to keep the dogs in the property at this point?
I have not let them out of the property. They stayed with them.
What are you going to do to make sure it doesn't happen again, that somebody doesn't leave the door?
I have not, we locked the door now. We didn't lock the door before. Now we lock the door and make sure it stays locked.
Okay. So she locks the door.
It wasn't locked before. My kids' friends that come in and out, come. Now it's locked. Like, you can't go in out of that door. We have to go to the side door now for that reason.
Okay. So you may want to ask Gary what his opinion is and what he suggested.
I mean, they're friendly. They're friendly dogs. They would never hurt anybody. Like, that's.
Believe me, we have nothing but angels come before us.
Yeah.
All angels.
I know, but.
At this point, I would ask the Harbor Master, Director of Natural Resources, for his recommendation.
This was a very traumatic incident for the individuals that did own the dog. It does show a violent action by these 2 dogs when they are operating. My recommendation, as we discussed in the department, is euthanasia of both dogs. So you can take that however you'd like.
Right.
Okay. So the recommendation is euthanasia.
Yes. Does anybody have anything they want to ask of either of these witnesses at this time before we close the hearing and deliberate?
What about dogs?
I would ask Peter to repeat what Gary said within your word.
Gary's recommendation is for euthanasia based upon the severity of the attack.
Correct.
Euthanasia with both dogs?
What about one of the dogs?
Both. Yeah, his recommendation is both.
But can I just euthanize one of them?
Thank you.
I'm not put together, but one of them is.
I have a question here.
One of the dogs initialized the whole act. I have a feeling that the black and white one did because she's but the other one, he really probably had nothing to do with it. So that's why I'm recommending maybe one of them instead of both of them.
That's not what the testimony was.
What did the witness say? The initial, she didn't really say, they didn't really say which dog.
Information he got from the witness, that both dogs attacked his dog. That's what the testimony was.
Yes, I'll read the portion that relates to the attack from the officer's report, just so you can address that.
Yeah, but was he a witness?
He wrote down what he heard from the dog owner and what Officer Kimball said was that the wife, Mrs. Caleras, stated to Officer McGuire that she picked up her dog as the 2 pit bulls came after her and the 2 dogs were jumping up at her. She dropped her dog and the dogs did not attack her. Instead, they killed her Chihuahua. So that's the only evidence we have before us at this point, which is that statement in this report.
But I guarantee if you asked her which dog initialized it, she probably would say the black and white one.
That's not what she said.
So she's not here for us to cross-examine. I mean, we can give the weight that what you're saying, the weight we believe it deserves when we do our deliberations.
Well, we'll talk about it.
That's fine, but we don't have anything that directly contradicts this in the record. And obviously, you not being there, you can't directly contradict the statement either. You can only give your opinion on what you believe based upon what you know of your dogs that you think might have happened. So, we will take those facts into account. Jim, you had a question?
Yes. Were all the dogs on Swiss Beach?
Yes.
Yes, according to this correspondence, the incident took place on Swiss Beach.
Were any of the dogs leashed?
No, they escaped. No, they got loose.
The two dogs that did the attack, it says here that they were unleashed. The report is...
What about the Chihuahua?
It does not indicate whether the Chihuahua was on a leash. However, the officer reported that Mrs. Polaris told him that she picked her dog up as the two pit bulls came after her.
Right. I understand that.
It could have been on a leash, it might not have been on a leash. You know, the weight that you want to give that horse is up to you.
Shouldn't have been on the beach in the first place.
I have a question for Gary. On the area of Swiss Beach, there are no dogs allowed at that particular time?
Anytime.
No dogs allowed at any time.
Director Buckminster stated that no dogs are allowed on town beaches at any time, which is part of our bylaw.
Thank you.
I have a question. Have the dogs been licensed and vaccinated since this?
I haven't been able to do that because of this corona that's been going on, but.
Okay. Any other steps to make sure the dogs are locked up, like kids spoken to?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for these witnesses before I ask for a motion to close the hearing? Alan?
No.
Jim?
No.
Mary?
No.
Patrick? Me? No. Can we have a motion to close the hearing, please?
So made. Alan.
Pick one.
Motion by Alan, second by Mary. Roll call. Alan?
Yes.
Jim?
I have a question about closing the hearing at this point in time. Could we continue the hearing so that we could listen to the tape of the hearing, so we could garner more information of what exactly was said and make a determination at another date?
I mean, we can hold the hearing open. That's certainly a possibility.
I would like to do that so that I can listen to the tape and the testimony and give this consideration. This is a very serious thing with discussing here.
I think the issue is with the microphones out there, Patrick.
Did you not hear her testimony?
No.
You didn't hear anything she said?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And that's an issue for us either way.
But is that gonna be on the tape? They didn't hear it, is it on the tape?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, I'm going to ask Gary to excuse himself from that.
What?
I'm going to ask Gary to excuse himself.
Yeah.
Before Richard starts, my concern is that because I couldn't hear the testimony from the other person, etc., I would have to abstain from making a decision at this time. Sorry to say that, but I want to make sure I make a decision based on facts and what I heard. And unfortunately, I didn't hear anything.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Rich.
Okay, Jim?
Yes, very good, Rich. Thank you.
All right. So, there were process issues that we want to try to address. We have two members of the hearing board who weren't able to hear the testimony of the defendant. And it's not reasonable to expect them to make a decision on testimony that they couldn't hear or
understanding. What's more is, have they been able to hear and understand the testimony? They might have had further questions of Mr. Buckminster as well, as the defendant. From part of the defendant. So I think the thing to do at this point would be, and Dan, if you object to anything I'm saying, just throw it out there. The thing to do would be to suspend the hearing, give the two selectmen who, by virtue of technical issues and the virus, weren't able to be here to actually physically listen to the testimony. Give them a chance to listen to the tape. That's not adding new evidence, that's just giving them a chance to hear the evidence that was presented. And then, if based on what they were able to hear, assuming there's no issue with the tape, give them the opportunity to ask that the hearing be reconvened if they had questions that they wanted to ask of any witness. And if they had no further questions of any witness, then you subsequently could take up a motion to open the hearing, reopen the hearing, close the hearing, and then move to a decision, one way or the other. Now, at that point, because the right of confrontation with witnesses will have been satisfied, if that's the way you go, you don't have to hold it in this room, you could do it through Zoom. Or if the gentleman had any further questions of any witnesses, we're back in here. So my advice is accept the motion to suspend the hearing, allow the two selectmen to listen to the tape, let them notify the chairman as to whether they had any further questions of any witnesses based on their listening of the tape. If they don't, reopen the hearing, close it, take your votes. If they do have questions, then we come back here at a date to be determined. We let them know what's happening with that. We invite Mr. Buckminster back. They ask their questions, any other evidence comes in, and handle it in that fashion. Thank you.
The only problem with that is we don't know what's on the tape. What she said may have not come out on the tape at all.
If that's the
They
case,
didn't
then we will
hear
have
it, it might not be on the
to.
tape.
Yeah.
So why don't we just ask her to restate, why don't we just restate it and see if we can figure out how they.
Well, but they couldn't hear the Director of Natural Resources either.
Well, but
for large portions of it, so.
You read it into the record.
So, well, Mr. Chairman, your point about the quality of the tape is a fair one. I think we'll have to give them an opportunity to listen to the tape to make up their own mind as to whether they could hear. And if they weren't able to hear, any part of it, then we start from scratch. Because, a due process would only be served by starting from scratch. But I think we need to let the gentleman listen to the tape to judge what the quality is. We can't tell.
I think we need to see what happens there, and then when we reconvene, we need to figure out the bugs here and get them here ahead of time. So even for the purposes of closing the hearing and deliberation, I think we need to do that.
And Rich can probably back it up, just a question. Can we
talk right up to that? Put your mouth on it.
For now, can we put some stipulations on the dogs just so they are secured until we figure out what's going on? Just because obviously I don't want to have an unfair.
I think in the context of emergency temporary orders until the hearing reconvenes, certainly there could be temporary orders to muzzle the dogs whenever they are brought outside of the house. And that sort of thing, if that's what you're asking for.
Yes, dogs under control of 18 years and older, dogs are being muzzled at all time. They can't leave the premises. They have to be in a pen, the same as we do with some of the other ones, until we figure out what that is.
I don't even know we can make those stipulations. That's a river. She can send to be agreeable. We don't know.
When you
she could assent to that, but I don't know that we.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I just have a sidebar, and I'll let her speak to it, but I believe that she's willing to agree to those conditions pending the conclusion of the hearing. But ma'am, I'll let you.
Yes.
Talk right up close to that mic.
Yes, I can do that.
To that, ma'am, and just the rest of the, I would add that anytime the dogs are brought out of the house, even if it's just to go into the pen or to go to the bathroom, that they be muzzled in the time that they are actually in the yard before they're placed from the house into the enclosure or from the enclosure back into the house. Would you agree to that as well?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, if that works for Gary, that's fine with me.
Thank you.
Okay.
So,
gentlemen, do you understand what's going on here? The folks out in TV land?
I can hear a little bit, but please repeat exactly what the final decision is temporary.
Okay, the temporary decision is that the dogs have to be handled by somebody 18 years of age or older. They have to be muzzled and on a leash whenever they are removed from the house, even if it's just to be brought to the enclosure in the yard and vice versa. And obviously they have to be muzzled and on a leash whenever they're brought off the property, for example, if they do go to get shots, that sort of thing. And the defendant has agreed to those temporary conditions. She's assented to them.
I have one question. Can one person, especially the person there, handle both dogs at the same time on a leash?
No, they would be handled individually.
Please make that part of the terms.
Are you agreeable to that as well, ma'am?
Yes, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
all right, so we're gonna suspend the hearing, right? So you need a motion to suspend the hearing?
Yeah.
And then vote to adopt the temporary order.
Right.
That's been agreed to.
All right, go ahead. We'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to suspend the hearing for a later date.
Okay.
Date to be announced.
Second? Mary? Okay, motion by Patrick to suspend to a later date, seconded by Mary. Roll call. Alan?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Me, yes. Next up, can we have a motion to adopt the temporary orders relating to the restraint of the dogs, temporary orders until the disposition of this case?
So moved.
Motion by Patrick, seconded by Mary. Another roll call vote. Alan?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Me, yes. Okay, so we've suspended the hearing. We will come back to this. You will get notice, ma'am, when we come back here, and we will try to arrange, make things a little better for you. This is the first time we've tried this in this room, and it's been a challenge for Mr. Ruiz. He had some equipment fail him this weekend, so he's trying to do this with baling wire and spit. So we appreciate his valiant attempt.
All right.
And that's it.
Okay.
We'll notify you when
We'll let you know.
we'll bring you back in.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Am I allowed to have their information, the owners?
The owner's information? Of course you are. Gary can give you the owner's information.
Yep, I'll contact them and put everybody in contact with them.
You just took them up. You know, hook you up, okay?
Yeah, he'll get you that information. Thank you.
All right, good. All right, and just so you know, that was the last thing we have on the agenda, with the exception of doing our what do you call it, our liaison reports. And I'll start with Alan. Alan, liaison reports.
Okay, I'll try and do this quickly, but I'll speak slowly. Hopefully everybody can hear me,
Oh, yeah.
which is not normal except to doing it in the Zoom.
I guess I should stay home every meeting.
I know, it's probably better off this way. Old people like this. As I said, I sent off the report for the stuff today. We had 3 hearings, the Zoom conferences. Lieutenant Governor was very clear on a few things for us. Basically the May 4th, what we call non-essential decision is, there is no decision as of right now. The reopening will be basically under review at this point, and the actual decision will be done by by the actual data that's available at that time. So we're probably not going to hear whether they will extend the non-essential until just about May 4th itself. Unfortunately, that doesn't make it easy, but that's where it is. There's several, which Derek has the information of, ways of improving our cash flow during this particular virus issue. One's a short-term loan for cash flow. There's another one which has to do with the pension allocation payments, which you have to do usually by July 1st. It's an accrual process, and it basically takes money out of your system. They're talking about actually extending that so you don't have to do it until December, which would give you a 6-month float on that as well. Let's see what else we got. That's important. I did finish up today with the energy aggregation that we're currently offering our town residents and businesses. This particular program that we're in of a group of 5 ends at the end of December, and the new program would come in January. I just want to let the people know that we're now part of a group of 25. I expect the rates to actually be lower than they were this past, 2 years now. That particular rate will give you the official information, and the process come November, you have at least 6 weeks to make a decision where it goes. And just a couple of things that have happened recently for people to understand. First of all, the small business loan, which was $350 billion that went out, it's kind of discouraging when we're here at the bottom of the food chain, but we don't have much control. But the federal government does a program. Sometimes I wonder what they're thinking. I had a friend of mine who actually works for and is involved with, I think, SunTrust Bank in Florida. And I asked him a couple questions because of things that were going on. And I was trying to figure out why the money went out so quickly, and the small business people, which I had 2 that called me directly, got no money at all. He explained it very simply. He said the way it goes is the Fed money goes through the banks. The banks get a 5% fee for processing these loans. And he said, well, what would you do? You have to do 20 pages of work. It takes the same time for a $100,000 loan as it does for a $5 million loan. Obviously, you're going to take your best customers and do 5 to 10, $20 million loans. Do as many of those as you can because you'll earn more money. And that's what really happened this time. I'm hoping with this $480 billion project that's coming down the line next day or so, if it does, that they break the money out separately and put better controls in, not to incentivize the bank to make life simple and quick and make the most money they can. The other piece that's happened is that the Chinese and the Russians have been fighting about oil prices, which I think there's a settlement that comes in May 1st. And on paper, it sounds like the two are fighting with each other. But I had a small conversation with Dr. Goodman, who's a economics professor at University of Mass that was on the recent economic panel for the state about the shortfall in the budget, et cetera. And I asked him the question simply, is this what's really going on? Or was this just an attempt by possibly 2 countries to sit there and destroy or harm the U.S. shale oil, programs that we have? The shale oil extraction is expensive and only work when the actual oil price was $50 a barrel or more. And right now, the answer I'm getting back is that for all intents and purposes, it's not feasible for us to continue the shale oil operation at the prices that the barrel of oil, which is down as low as $10. The future market doesn't exist, and the long-term future market is less than 20. So again, it's kind of discouraging to hear in the news about things what you think it is until you look into the actual thought process what's going on. And we are no longer an oil-dependent country, but if we lose the shale production, then we go back to where we were before. It's just thoughts for people to understand that we have people representing us in Washington, and sometimes I wonder where their head's at. I could give you an answer, but I get in trouble right now. Thank you.
Oh, who are you talking to?
Get a liaise with us?
Well, I think I gave my liaison report earlier, and I will have to forward you once I get the official copy of our new agreement from CMW for inclusion on the website so the public can review and you can review. I will also forward you the copies of the 3 appraisals that we've had done. So we can have some discussion, hopefully an executive session, as to how you would like to proceed as we move forward. And I believe an executive session would be in order so that we can have some discussion. And I'd like to have an executive session to follow up on some of the other things that we didn't get done last week. So if you could do that, Mr. Chair, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
It's already planned. I forgot, I already put it on the agenda, I just don't remember the date. Okay, so, all right, Peter, you're next.
I'm good.
Mary? All right, we're ready. Okay, so that brings us to that famous part of the meeting where we all get to get out of here.
Move to adjourn.
Motion made by Alan, I was waiting for it. Alan, seconded by?
Let Jim have it.
Jim?
Yep.
Now, seconded.
Okay, roll call. Alan?
Hell yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Patrick, yes. Thank you, Wareham.